Hi, everyone. We've all heard the phrase, birds of a feather flock together. This is an English proverb, and according to Wiktionary, this phrase simply means people of similar character, background, or taste tend to congregate or associate with one another. Today, we're going to talk about how this phrase can be very useful for those of you who are dating and getting to know your new partner. What led me to this particular topic of conversation was a recent documentary I saw on Netflix that was based on a true story called The Truth and Tragedy of Mariah Wilson. And I just want to stop right here. This documentary, when I was watching it, all kinds of alarm bells was just going off in my mind. I think there's just so much we can learn from this tragedy and and by sometimes we can learn a lot by watching other people and learning from their experience so that we don't make the same mistake. So it was a very, very disturbing movie to say the least. And so I felt compelled to talk about this and share with you some of the insights that I gleaned from it when I watched it. It was a tragic love story of a typical love triangle where a guy was in a long-term relationship with his girlfriend, but then met someone new and develops a friendship with this new female who is named Mariah. And let me just stop right here, folks. This is a spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen this movie yet and will see it in the future. I recommend you don't watch this video right now. Go ahead and watch the movie at a later point after you watch the movie. Go ahead and then watch my video, okay? I don't want to spoil it for those of you who haven't seen it yet and intend on seeing it. Okay? But for the rest of you, if you've seen it or you don't plan on seeing it, if you've already seen it or if you don't ever plan on seeing it, then just hang in there and continue listening up. Okay. Um, so let me just say this again. It was a tragic love story of a typical love triangle where a guy was in a long-term relationship with his girlfriend, but then met someone new and develops a friendship with this new female, whose name was Mariah. He decided to break up with his girlfriend, but the girlfriend refused to let go and insisted they remain friends and move in together. The guy agreed and maybe thought they could become platonic friends while he goes on to pursue a new relationship with Mariah. However, while cohabitating as roommates, they were soon back to being romantically involved again. Their on and off again relationship was unstable and toxic with a pattern of constant making up and breaking up. Okay, so I'm sure you can relate to this story. For those of you who have dated a lot, you may have known someone, your friends, or yourself even that have been in a situation where you're in a very unstable, unhealthy relationship where it's constantly off and on. You make up, you break up, you make up, you break up. And so in this particular love triangle story, it was the same situation. He had tried to break up with his girlfriend many times, and somehow um, she managed to propose that they live together at one point, and while they're supposedly, at when they're broken up, and then somehow, like with anything else, if you live with somebody and you're in that close quarters with somebody, that relationship was constantly just off and on, off and on. And in between all that, he was trying to build a friendship with Mariah. Okay. During one of their off times, he had reconnected with Mariah and started to see her secretly without his roommate knowing. He was wishy washy and didn't bring proper closure with his roommate. Instead, he began playing games and lying to his roommate about his secret affair with Mariah. Mariah heard his sob stories, was fully aware of his strange living situation with his ex, and yet still proceeded to befriend and develop a relationship with this guy. Okay, and I just want to stop right here and also mention I'm not going to mention the guy's name or his roommate's name. Okay, I don't think it's relevant to what we're going to talk about, um, because I don't want to bring, I don't want to really try to bring so much attention to all this drama. Okay, it's very there's a lot of drama in this story, And so I don't want to like over heighten everything and at the same time not try to, say anything negative about the all the characters that's involved here in this movie. Okay, but the main character was Mariah, and of course, actually, all three of them were important characters. But I just want to explain that in case you're wondering why I'm being anonymous and I'm not mentioning the guy's name or his roommate's name. You can find all that online. If you go to Google the name of this movie, it will give you the details of the person's first and last name for all the actors that or actually the actual people in the story. Okay. To make a long story short, the ex was always extremely jealous and controlling of him. She knew of all his passwords and was able to keep track of his daily whereabouts. One day, as she was going through his emails, she was furious when she discovered an email that said where the two would secretly meet that evening. Filled with rage and revenge, she stalked them that evening, waited until Mariah returned home, and ended up shooting her 3 times and unfortunately killing her. Afterwards, she fled to Costa Rica using her sister's passport, changed her hairstyle, but still couldn't evade the police and investigators. After 43 days on the run, she was apprehended, followed by a trial that resulted in her being convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to 90 years in prison with possible parole after 30 years. Although this true story had a horrific and tragic ending, there is a valuable lesson to be learned from it. And the lesson is birds of a feather flock together. This is especially important for those of you who are in the early stages of a dating relationship and are just getting to know someone new. I can't stress enough the importance of being patient and taking your time to build the friendship and get to know your new partner well. Here are 5 key areas I recommend you pay attention to as you're learning about your new partner. The 5 areas will be represented by the spelling of the word flock. Flock. F for friends. As you get to know your new dating partner, inquire about the friends that your partner hangs out with regularly with. Ask lots of questions and understand who they are, their character and value system. In the case of that tragic love triangle story we just talked about, it was clearly a red flag when the guy's closest friend and live-in roommate was a recent lover who refused to let go. Not to mention all the drama surrounding that relationship that was often discussed with Mariah during their initial conversations as they were getting to know each other. So, Mariah was well aware of the guy's ambivalent feelings of his tumultuous relationship with his roommate long before they even moved in together. The guy and his roommate formed a trauma bond that showed all the telltale signs of an unhealthy, toxic relationship. Okay, so from what I've seen of the movie, this is some of the details that I had gathered. And when they first met, Mariah was already aware of this girlfriend, this off and on relationship that he was in. She was fully aware. They actually all went out with. They all actually did things together. They were all into riding and competing in the bicycles. So they were all in that circle of friends, and so they all knew each other. So Mariah already met his roommate, and the roommate already met her. They all know each other. Okay, so it wasn't like anyone was hidden from each other. So Mariah was fully aware of their crazy relationship, and yet she continued to still keep in contact with him and actually welcomed his communication whenever he communicated. Remember, birds of a feather flock together because likes attract likes. Healthy people gravitate towards healthy people, and the reverse is true too. Unhealthy people gravitate towards unhealthy people. I believe Mariah's natural empathy and compassion for mankind overshadowed the truth behind the obvious red flags of this guy's closest friend, who happened to be his roommate and lover, and therefore wasn't able to make an objective assessment of the precarious situation. And truthfully, sometimes people become so excited and infatuated in meeting a new partner a new dating partner, that they're not paying attention to the words and information being exchanged in the early stages of the dating process. Okay, and I just want to briefly say this happens a lot. Okay, I was single many years ago. I know what it's like. When you finally have someone that actually responds to you and you guys hit it off well and you set a date, it's very exciting, right? Especially if you haven't dated in a while or if you were feeling down and lonely because you had just broken up with somebody a while back and now you're back in the dating scene and someone is responsive and is interested, it's very exciting. And so I just want to say, I just want to caution that, even though it's natural to feel the butterflies and to be excited when you meet somebody new, you have to always remember in the back of your mind that this that you have to pay attention. Even though you're excited, let your ears open and pay attention to what is being communicated, the information that's being exchanged between you and your new partner. Very, very important. Um, and, and that because then you don't miss anything. If there's any red flags, this is the time to find that out. L for lovers. Along with getting to know your partner's friends, it is also prudent to inquire about the reason why romantic relationships with previous lovers have ended. Pay attention to how your partner describes their past relationships. Is your partner taking responsibility for his or her own share of the relationship failure? Or are you hearing constant complaints and blaming of the ex? Or is your partner still emotionally tied to the past and is playing victimhood, the woe me mentality? Folks, there's nothing attractive or healthy going on a date while he or she is giving you a sob story over a recent or past breakup. Now, let me think. I have dated a long time ago. I did date a guy. It was a different kind of situation though. He had uh his wife had passed and I believe he was still not ready to date. So on the date, all I heard was about his sadness, grief, and about her, how much he missed her and all the things he loved about her. And so I felt sorry for the guy. But at the same time, I was listening to what he was saying. I was looking at him, his expressions, how his feelings, right? And it was clear to me that he wasn't ready to be on a date with somebody new. And so, needless to say, that was the first and last date that him and I had went on. So this is just an example, and I'm sure if you guys all stop and think about the people you've dated, maybe this is something that you wish you would have known at that time. So just keep that in mind. With reference to that love triangle story, the guy did tell Mariah about his living situation with his ex. Being that Mariah was a very empathetic person, she probably felt sorry for him. She was drawn into his personal troubles and erred on the side of compassion instead of caution. Mariah had lacked discernment to appropriately and objectively respond to the guy's confusion and frustration of his drama-filled personal life. If Mariah had discernment, she still could have shown empathy and expressed her sincere concern for the guy by politely suggesting that he and his roommate seek couples counseling to address the issues in their troubled relationship. That would have been the moral and right thing to say to a friend. Without discernment, it is very difficult to react appropriately and respond from a neutral and higher perspective that's in the best interest of everyone. Let me say this again. Without discernment, it is very difficult to react appropriately and respond from a neutral and higher perspective that's in the best interest of everyone. So this is why I was saying, I know we all get excited when we go on a date, but we have to temper that and balance that with temperament, emotional intelligence, discernment, and this is the time you need to exercise your listening skills. Listen intently, process the information that you're receiving. And by doing that, you can remain objective while you're getting to know someone. So the extreme empaths, okay, I'm sorry. Let me start. Okay. Furthermore, this is an example of when too much empathy can blindside you to the dangers of toxic people who may be mentally unstable. Let me say that again. Furthermore, this is an example of when too much empathy can blindside you to the dangers of toxic people who may be mentally unstable. I just want to be clear that I am no way trying to shame or blame Mariah for her lack of objectivity and discernment. However, it is worth mentioning as a word of caution to those of you who are very empathetic and caring. That is that it is helpful to read up on toxic people and relationships before deciding to enter the dating scene. Having knowledge is power, and discernment in protecting yourself from harm is necessary because we do live in a world of good and bad people, and toxic people tend to pair up with extreme empaths who lack discernment and boundaries. Unhealthy people attract unhealthy people. So, folks, this is just another way to say again that especially for people that are extreme empaths, it is very, very important that you are on guard, that you read up and do your homework on toxic and people that are unhealthy, because for some reason the statistics show that toxic people, unhealthy people, they do end up and pair up with people that are extreme empaths. So the extreme empaths need to learn to set boundaries to not allow unhealthy people to have access into their lives. It's the art of striking a healthy balance between compassion and self-love. It's wonderful to be empathetic, and heaven knows we need more empaths in this world. But having self-love is the highest priority, so you can be your best self and serve others in a healthy way. In the case of Mariah, it would have been in her best interest to keep a safe distance from the guy, and again, as mentioned before, for her to politely suggest to the guy that he and his roommate seek counseling to resolve their problems. Being in a love triangle almost never ends well for all parties concerned. As for the guy, he also was partly responsible for the death of Mariah. He was waffling and indecisive between two women. He didn't have the personal conviction or emotional intelligence to sever his ties permanently with his ex, or at the very least, set firm boundaries in the aftermath of their many breakups. I think if he had sought professional counseling during that time, before jumping into a new relationship, he may have been able to heal and begin his journey of self-love. Through self-love, he may have eventually gained emotional clarity and strength to make a final decision about his relationship with his roommate. Instead, his decision to lie to his roommate and reconnect with Mariah was a fatal mistake for everyone involved. Oh, for opposite-sex friends. When it comes to opposite-sex friends, it can be tricky. It can be a tricky situation if you're not aware of what makes an opposite-sex friend harmful to a relationship. Having friends of the opposite sex is not necessarily a bad thing if it is truly a platonic relationship. The problem and danger of having opposite-sex friends is when a strong romantic attraction and longing still exist for one or both parties involved. It is also problematic if the two were once romantically involved and the relationship ended when one or both parties have not healed or come to terms with a complete acceptance of the finality and ending of the relationship. Usually when a romantic relationship is over, it takes a certain amount of time to process the loss, grieve, and heal. But when one or both parties haven't taken the proper time to work through the loss and are not able to let go and move forward, then the relationship is technically not over. When a relationship is technically over, sometimes boundaries need to be set, and a physical separation is also needed for both parties to process and deal with the breakup. In the case of Mariah, she didn't realize the implications and turmoil surrounding the volatile relationship between the guy and his roommate. Regarding the guy's roommate being the opposite-sex friend, it was obvious that it was not a platonic relationship, and the instability of that relationship was a huge red flag that shouldn't have been ignored, and instead should have signaled a pause for serious consideration to proceed with caution. So I just want to say, in this situation, the guy and his roommate, the guy's roommate, which was his live-in roommate, lover, and ex, is considered the opposite sex friend, right? And that should have been a blaring red flag to Mariah when she learned of the constant turmoil, the makeup and breakup in that relationship. It should have been a huge red flag. For more helpful information on opposite sex friends, please check out one of my past videos called Number One Sign When Having Opposite Sex Friends Are Harmful to a Relationship. Okay, and you'll find that if you go on my YouTube channel, you can look for my videos and look for that video. The number one sign when having opposite sex friends are harmful to a relationship. C for character. The most important part of dating is taking the time to go through the 4 dating stages of a relationship. The purpose of dating is to get to know someone well, which means learning and understanding his or her character. What is the definition of character? According to Merriam Dictionary, as it relates to people, character is defined as, quote, the way someone thinks, feels, and behaves. Someone's personality, the good qualities of a person that usually include moral or emotional strength, honesty, and fairness, unquote. When it comes to dating, I cannot underscore the importance of understanding the character of your dating partner. To do this, it requires patience and self-restraint to delay physical intimacy and focus on developing the friendship first. Let me say this again. I cannot underscore the importance of understanding the character of your dating partner. To do this, it requires patience and self-restraint to delay physical intimacy and focus on developing the friendship first. When 2 people experience physical intimacy prematurely early in the dating stages before a solid friendship is established, all objectivity is lost, along with the intention to pursue an understanding of each other's character. For information on the 4 dating stages of a relationship, please check out a past video of mine called 2 Secrets to Dating Successfully. Okay, same thing. You can find it on my YouTube page. But that's a very informational video. I definitely would recommend that one as well. Even if you're dating currently, or if you just met someone new, or you're thinking about going back in the dating scene, please check out that video, 2 Secrets to Dating Successfully. I promise you this will help you. It will help give you knowledge and insights into the dating stages of a relationship and how to successfully navigate in your dating relationship. Character is what makes each person a unique human being. It's the true essence of who a person is that encompasses all of his or her strengths and core of what he or she stands for. It is the understanding of character that determines whether one is compatible with another so that a friendship can be formed. Without knowing the character of someone, compatibility would be difficult to evaluate and friendship would be difficult to develop. This often happens when 2 people fall in love during the early stages of a relationship and mistake infatuation or chemistry as real love, when in fact, what they are experiencing is falling in love with the fantasy or potential of someone rather than the reality of who they really are, which is their character. K for kissing. K for the last letter in the word flock. So remember to save your kissing for later. Most people kiss too early on, and it's not wise to do so because the physical act of kissing is very intimate. And because kissing is considered an intimate act, it should not be taken lightly. Please take a moment and think about my next few statements. When you kiss everyone you date, it diminishes the value and specialness of the kiss. I believe kissing should be viewed as a sacred act of commitment and physical intimacy like that of having sex. And engaging in both kissing and sex would be more emotionally fulfilling if reserved and only given to someone you have grown to truly love and honor. Now, you may call this old-fashioned way of thinking, but folks, let's face it. Let's be real here. Some of the old-fashioned things that we've heard from our parents or from what we've heard from other people, it still stands true to the test of time to this day. Think about your own situation. Think about people that you know. Think about all the failed relationships that you've heard of. It's usually because there was a failure of understanding the person's character early on in the dating relationship. Most relationships are rushed, and as a result, the dating stages are ignored. and left out. And so later on, after the fact that they become committed and they become so emotionally entangled that they then start seeing each other's character. And by then, a lot of time has passed and a lot of emotions are invested. Thus, kissing is not appropriate for a first date or even the first few meetings with a new partner because you don't really know them. A passionate kiss could lead you to a physical intimacy too soon, and that may cause you to lose objectivity, override your common sense, and cloud your better judgment. Let me say this again. A passionate kiss could lead you to physical intimacy too soon, and that may cause you to lose objectivity, override your common sense, and cloud your better judgment. Your hormones take over, and before you know it, you're not able to be objective, and the focus then becomes sexual instead of intellectual. Let me say this again. Your hormones take over, and before you know it, you're not able to be objective, and the focus then becomes sexual instead of intellectual. Therefore, it will behoove you to view the dating process as a vetting process and a time to exchange information and learn about each other. Tragic endings can be avoided if you have patience and take the time necessary to understand the character of your partner and see if there's enough compatibility to build a solid friendship first before proceeding further. As it has been said, good things come to those who wait, and haste makes waste. If you haven't yet already, please consider getting my book, Kissing Frogs No More. Okay, folks? Kissing Frogs No More, The Secret of Prince Charming. The secret to finding Prince Charming, excuse me. It's not gender specific, so it is also for you men who want to find your princess. It's a short read and it has helpful information about how to date and find the right partner. You can find the link to my book on YouTube, on my YouTube profile page, or on Amazon.com. Okay, folks? So you can tell it's a very short read, so it won't take you long at all to finish it. It's got a pack full of information on how to date, what to look for. Okay, it's definitely a must read for all of you who are dating, who have not succeeded yet in dating, and for those of you who are clueless about dating. So, and this means it could be anybody. It could be young people, middle age, retired, divorced, you name it. Okay, if you're in the dating scene, if you're in the dating scene or thinking about getting into the dating scene, please check out this book. I think you will find it very resourceful and it will help you. Okay. In summary, dating can be challenging, but being ready with knowledge on dating successfully will go a long way to happier endings. Every relationship gives you opportunities to learn more about yourself and others. Whether you are new to dating or are currently dating, remember today's conversation about the wisdom. Birds of a feather flock together. The flock surrounding people say a lot about the people themselves. So while you're in the dating process getting to know your partner, pay close attention to your partner's friends, lovers, opposite sex friends, character, and finally, reserve kissing later only for one who you have gotten to know very well. So it's very important. I would definitely encourage you to maybe go back and listen to this video again and keep in mind about we discussed about flock. Okay, friends, lovers, opposite sex friends, character, and finally, reserve kissing for later. And only then may it be worthwhile letting them have access to your heart. From a positive perspective, let's think of Mariah's story to not only be one of great tragedy, but also one of great lessons learned in providing valuable insights to navigating carefully in a world of dating and friendships. As I mentioned earlier, for those of you who are thinking about dating or are currently dating, I invite you to please check out my 2 past videos called 2 Secrets to Dating Successfully and the number 1 sign when having opposite sex friends are harmful to a relationship. There will be links provided to each of these 2 videos towards the end of this video. Okay, I'll provide links above towards the end of this video. You will see a couple links to these videos. Okay, so I hope you find this very, very insightful. And if you know of someone that could benefit from hearing about this video, please share this video with them. If you can resonate, please click like and click share. If you've also personally experienced or having comments that you'd like to share with everyone of this kind of situation, if you yourself have also been in a love triangle, feel free to share your experience and how you navigated that. Okay, we all can learn from each other, and we can never have too much information. So feel free to put that in the comments below, or if you have any questions, please feel free to post your questions. I read all the comments and I will respond. Okay. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe to my channel so you can be posted on all my future videos. And I want to thank you all for watching this video, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.